Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today we'll be sculpting Festival of the Dead mask. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. So first we're going to plan what it's going to look like, or what we think it's going to look like. Normally these designs or planning never turns out the same way as I started drawing it. So the sketch will probably not end up looking like the final product. So now that we have an idea what we're doing, finalizing the sketch, now we're going to take a plain mask and make it this way. So here's the plain mask. Didn't like that nose. Decided to cut it off. This saw didn't work, so I went for cutters. Nose looked terrible, so I decided to do some surgery. The nose really looked like one of the Jacksons' nose. And yes, started tearing it because I was impatient. I wanted to start with this bloody thing. Luckily it didn't tear too much. This is what the finished nose job looks like. I'm adding foil behind the cut nose to sculpt a new nose. So yeah, this was quite tricky. As I said in my previous video, epoxy clay is quite soft, and I didn't want to use a bunch of glues because I didn't understand the material the mask is made of. So I held my finger in place at the back and I just filled in the thing with clay. Now that the nose is sort of done, I started adding a border around the eye socket. Discovered the mask is made out of some sort of paper mache. Thought it was plastic covered in fabric, and I decided to fix it with some Mod Podge just to make it a little bit more waterproof. Later on I did discover that didn't work as well as thought. I tried to keep the border uniform for the flower around the eye. Unfortunately, it didn't work out as well due to the weird rounded curves and guess me not planning it properly. And I decided to hell with it. Let's just go with it and see how it turns out. Second border was added off camera. Now I'm starting to add the little petal borders to form a flower. The clay was very soft. It didn't want to stick to the mask, and it was quite tricky keeping it there until it dried. Another problem was it kept sticking to my latex glove, which wasn't fun. It was very frustrating, but I pushed through because I wanted to see this thing through. And I maneuvered all of them in different ways. So it was tricky, but I did it. I added the rest of the petal border off camera and then started to add the other details, like the heart that's in the middle of the forehead, and also the twirlies on the top that I saw on a lot of Festival of the Dead or La Muerte, if I say it right, masks. I started adding the lips to add more dimension to this very flat mask. And as I'm adding the shape of the lips, I started to realize this looks a lot like an inflatable adult facilitator. And Dad was going to add a whole bunch of new jokes on my comment section, and decided she's going to have closed lips now. Better that way, man. After I made the lips look a little bit more appropriate, I decided to make it look a little bit more happier, but still give the vibe of a skull where the upper jaw and lower jaw is separating, and you can see the skull's teeth, similar to Joker slash a skull. I decided I'm going to add the texture or the shape of teeth over the lips and see how it looks. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? And I've also added a flower at the bottom, as you can see, to add a little bit more je ne sais quoi to the mask. I first covered it in yellow and it just disturbed me too much. So I'm trying to cover it in a bone kind of color. Adding some color to the mask, a little bit of pink, because why not? and trying to keep it as neat as possible with my shaky hands. Now I'm adding some color to the border, a very darkish red, trying to keep it neat as possible. Now we're filling in the teeth, adding some color. You might not see it very clearly, but I'm still showing it because I did it and recorded it. So enjoy. Now I'm adding a black acrylic wash to the teeth so it can sink in between the teeth, and just trying to add more color dimension. Now I'm busy cleaning it up a bit just so that it looks better. This is kind of the end result, and just cleaning up the little that's still dripping down, not making it look too terrible or too rotten for that matter. So then I found this pearl base and thought, take it literally and make pearly whites. Very shiny, sheeny. Adding some color to the flower, doing some acrylic washes. Then drying up the excess, doing some touch-ups on the mask. Then we're starting to dry brush to create the old bone color. Now the second bunch of dry brushing to add depth and more layer to create a really old bone effect. There's a bunch of back and forth between colors. I used burnt umber, and then I mixed white, burnt umber, and yellow to create this contrast. I'm doing some touch-ups wherever I overreach with the dry brushing. So now I'm adding lines, black paint in between the teeth, because I felt like it needed more contrast. Then I started to border around the teeth, and this is exactly where the whole look and design changed in my mind, and decided I'm going to do some line work on a sculpture, on a mask. And now I'm outlining everywhere, basically, around the flowers and around the other flower. And I started then to add little sketches and patterns and flowers and petals, just going mad on this thing. Whatever inspiration I could find, I added it. I decided, why the hell not? It needed some more to it. It was a little too empty. And yes, I'm not good with floral stuff, but hell, I don't think I did too bad on this one. Time for the reveal. Enjoy. See you next time. Ciao.